Yeah. Also, I'd like to mention that GOODTECH is the audience key for the presentation. After you download the Zoho app, you can access the presentation through this key and like or comment or ask questions directly through the app. Thank you.
Thank you. The idea being that you don't need to interrupt the flow of the presentation itself. You can ask questions. They'll all be backlogged. At the end of the presentation, I can pick the questions I want to address and talk it out to you. The reason I chose good tech is we all empower our businesses, but we use technology for empowering it. But is that the right tool? Is that the right suite of tools we are using to empower? So good technology is the focus of my talk today. Let's get started. My agenda is fourfold. I'm not an IIM graduate, so all that I learned is from the School of Hard Knocks, as they say. So I'm going to tell you my simplistic version of what I think a business is. And I'm going to also tell you what a business application is expected to do. What do we all expect a business application to do? And I'm going to share some real data with you that I collected over the past month. And hopefully at the end of the show, we will have some fruitful conclusions to take away. We'll start with this question. What's a business? Right from the caveman pub times to the latest Apple store in China, the aim has always been just this. The purpose of a business is to create and keep a customer. Peter Drucker, not me. So you create a customer and you keep. Those are the two pillars on which any business is built. But what does a typical business do then? How does it create a customer and keep it? Again, we need to do three things here. We need to manage customers. Managing customers will include all kinds of things like the CRM, relationship, campaigning to them, giving them technical support. Then we will have operations, running operations like the processes, the invoicing, the money making, the HR roles, attendance, and so on, the forms. And the third is, of course, the most important one, empowering the employees, which many people say is the key aspect, key asset of any company. Again, communicating, collaborating, and helping them work, be productive. Okay, let's move on to the second question. What is expected out of a business application? What does a business application do? When you talk about I am digitizing it or I am using software to do one of those three important aspects, what do we mean by it? What do we mean by managing customers using software? What do we mean by running operations using software? What do we mean by empowering employees using software? Basically, any business application is actually to model something. A real world entity, a real world process, we model it using software. And why do we model it? We model it because we aim for a standard. We try to standardize it. We try to come out with a standard operating procedure, a protocol, something that even the dumbest person in the room can follow. And when that happens, when we standardize a protocol, we reduce error. Why do we do all this? We free up time for innovation. So that, I would say, is the key role any business application is supposed to play. It models an activity so that it can be standardized, reduces error, anybody can repeatedly do it, and finally it frees up time for innovation. We'll come back to this key aspect called innovation later in the talk. Let's look at the three pillars. What is managing customers from the business application standpoint? What does it mean? You have to reach, you have to acquire, you have to retain. From the software perspective, it is marketing, sales, and support. What are the key pieces of software that help you do it? There is CRM, there is campaigns, you run campaigns on your potentials. There is a support desk where you help pre-sales or even post-sales activity. You give clarifications on your software, on your tool, guidance. There is a website, you track visitors to it, you run promotions. And of course, there is a one-to-one conferencing, be it a chat or a video conference and so on. So together we call that the front office suite of applications. Running operations, you remember that's the second pillar we talked about. So what does it actually comprise? It comprises of people, money, and assets. Assets could be both hardware, software, real assets, and also immovable assets, and also the people, HR, recruitment. So when you look at the software layer on top of these that makes this happen, the software will be stuff like HR, finance, and IT. Invoice, books, expense management, travel expense planning, people, recruitment, both when they are applying for a job in your company, and how you manage leaves and benefits and so on after they have become part of your company, hierarchy and control. And inventory management, forms. So these are the software pieces that run the operations in any business. Moving on to the third pillar, which is the empowering employees pillar, that is creating content, that is controlling access, sharing and controlling access, and then there is communication. The software aspects of it would be authoring, sharing, and collaborating. So look at documents. So there is presentation tools. Even this is running on such a tool. There are spreadsheets. There are documents people create. And in any official business environment, you have to share, both for reviewing and collaborating and co-creating, and also for actually getting a job done. I have finished this proposal. Look at it and give me your approval of it, or work on iterating it. And then the third part, the email and chat, of course, is the a magnificent duo that go together all time. Any software you have in your company, you will still have email and chat, which will be the nerve center of all activity. And finally, you have an intranet, which is an underplayed software these days, but a very powerful tool for communicating within the company. So we saw two questions. What does a business and what does a business application do? When we put all these together, this is the picture we get. So that's the business in the center, and we have marketing, sales, support, we have HR, finance, and IT, we have authoring, sharing, and collaborating. Great. That's what a business is supposed to do. But is that the ground reality? Can we actually do a deep dive? Can we go down and actually find out, is this how businesses empower themselves using technology? The last month when I came to know that I was going to give a talk on this subject, I actually decided, let me do a deep dive. Let me find out how people use technology in businesses these days, today. With all the great software that's available, what do they really use and how do they work? How do they run operations? How do they manage customers? How do they empower their employees? This is what I did. So I actually activated my friends network, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. I contacted all my friends, some of them working in MNCs, some of them running startups themselves, some of them working as employees in large and small organizations, some in India, some abroad. I connected with them and I asked them this question. Hey, for an upcoming talk, I'm collecting data points. I'll anonymize company name, not to worry. But please tell me, as far as you know, about what tools your company uses for project management, for intranet, for email, for invoicing, for internal simple forms, for word processing, for document sharing, spreadsheets, CRM, tech support. You'll agree that these are all things that every company has to do for its life cycle, whatever kind of company it is. So I wrote to around 40 of my friends and I collected information. Even though I knew what to expect, it was shocking. That's the, I don't know if you can read it, but that's the mishmash of content I got from each of them. Project management, some of them were using MS Office, some of them were using Basecamp, some of them Asana, Jira. For document editing, some of them were using iWork from Apple, some of them MS Office, some of them Google Docs. For CRM, vTitan. One of them was using email for CRM. SAP. So it was a large collection of data over the last month from 40 of my friends. If you step back and try to look at some common trends, we see 4. 1, it's partly in the cloud. People have woken up to the cloud. People have realized hard disk can die. People can't lug a laptop all around, and it has to go on the cloud. So part of it has already gone on the cloud. It partly on-premise. Some of them are still paranoid about putting their data, private data, in a public cloud. Like long ago, people were afraid to put their money in a bank. Right? Some of it is homegrown. I don't know, somehow people still think the problems they face is unique. Nobody else in any other company would have faced a problem like that. So they actually recruit some college graduates and home grow that software. Okay? I have done such software myself. And very clearly, there are apps from multiple vendors. There's not a single vendor who has done all the apps. Like I showed, there is Google involved, there is Apple involved, there is a little startup in a corner lane in Bangalore involved. Right? So, in one word, it's a hodgepodge. It's a mishmash, it's all put together. So, I thought, fine. And then I was just going on with my work. When one day, driving on the highway, I saw this Amul ad. So it occurred to me, hey, why not I ask all of those guys again another question? Shall I ask them, all is well? Is it all fine that you're using different software from different people in a... this is the question I asked them. That's not loading. Of course, I am not selling Zoho here, but I am trying to make a strong case for the benefits of an integrated suite of applications. Hence this next question. So what can you say is the biggest pain point you face because of this veritable zoo of various products from different companies that you're using day to day? If there is a pain point, that is, just tell me. Is there a pain point? You're using various software from various companies? Tell me if there is one. I asked them all. And that's when the floodgates opened. They kept buzzing me with so many different reasons why they feel they made a mistake when choosing software from various vendors. In fact, they gave me 17 such reasons why something is not working out well. I'll just quickly run through all 17 of them. Multiple invoicing, they said. So just understanding an invoice document is hard, believe me. But if each of them comes from a different company, probably even located in a different country, in a different language, the billing cycle will be different. What's being charged will be different in different currencies. That's a big problem, they said. Multiple billing cycles. Some of them will be annual. Some of them will be monthly. Some of them will be quarterly. And look at all the terminology they throw on their websites. They'll call it Ultimate, Pro, Community, Pay as you go, Advanced, Freemium, Starter, Gold, Platinum, Titanium. Lifetime, they'll say. I don't know whose lifetime that is, my lifetime or the supplier's lifetime. So all these are, because for them it's just a simple 3-column layout. But when you combine all of them together, there are 66 columns I need to handle. Multiple logins. How often are we forced to switch tabs and log in into some other app, and you have to remember passwords, and each of these will have a different formula for the password. They'll say you need to have a special character in one of them. They'll say you can't have special characters in another. Expiry. Passwords these days start expiring. And not to mention 2-factor authentication. You need to, Google now says you need to have a secondary mobile phone with you to log in. So if I have to juggle with all these, you know what I'll do? I'll just use one password, my wife's name, first name or something. And is that the right thing to do? That makes the whole security system weak. And this is a sneaky reason. Actually, you don't realize it. The cognitive cost of actually having to juggle tab to tab in different various interfaces, each interface built by somebody from some country in the world, having some opinion or understanding about how an interface should be. Okay, cancel, changing places. Haven't you all noticed that? Larger buttons for some, textual buttons for some. There is no reason for them to have a single interface adoption. But for us, when we have to do project management in an interface like that, and CRM in another interface like that, that's a cognitive cost you don't realize you're paying. And security breaches. Like they all say, a chain is only as strong as the weakest link. So if you have multiple systems, each of them having its own login and password and authentication, one breach somewhere and can get through the whole structure. It can bring down the whole house. So it's like having one lock for one door in a solid fort versus having lots of windows, lots of glass doors. You can forget sometimes to lock a door. What happens? When you are fiddling with so many doors and so many windows, you swing to the other extreme. So you say, I have too many things to handle, I'll lock everything up. I will never let any window open at all. We see that often. That's what is happening here. See, this software called UFU wants to work with your Dropbox. Fair question. But look at the way they have worded the question. UFU would like to access to all files and folders in your Dropbox. This app will be able to read and modify everything. When you read words like that, I often just say cancel. When you install an Android app these days, it'll say this asks you for your phone log, SMS log, my camera, microphone. I'm afraid I say no, and I miss out on some great features. Doesn't it happen all the time? Retraining, this is a no-brainer. Every time a new software comes out, every time a new interface comes out. How many of us suffered when Android Material Design came out or iOS 9 came out? So many things to retrain yourself. Access control. So how do you juggle between an owner, a co-owner, an editor, a reader, a writer, can write, can't read, can only share? And to make the problems worse, some people use words like reviewer for something, while another service uses the word approver or viewer for the same thing. I mean, there's a linguistic load on it now. So this is the problem they said when they wrote back to me. And workflow models. Again, this is a sneaky thing. You get wedded to the system. Only long afterwards do you realize that the workflow they have is very different from the workflow your company's culture has. There are two project management or task management tools I use. In one of them, the same task can be assigned to two different people in two different projects. In another, each task can have multiple subtasks, but only if you complete every subtask can you even mark the top task as done. So that's a difference again. Data problems. Backing up data is hard, but if you have to back up data from so many different services, don't even think about it. That's a problem, they said. Duplications. Have you done an ego surf on your phone for your own name? Try doing that. This is my name on my phone. Seriously, I get 7 mentions of my name simply because I connected my phone to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, iCloud, and Google Drive. So I even added my original as a suffix to one of those because that was the real one I can use. Seriously, try doing that. Try doing that for your name. So data duplication is either too hard or too easy, like in this case. You don't know which is the original. And vested interests and diverse roadmaps. This is a problem you realized long afterwards only. So it's not a technological problem that Apple isn't launching FaceTime video calling from an iPhone to an Android phone. It is just their business interest that they wouldn't do it. So you are tied down just by that company's decision. So unless see, there are so many roads to take. You can take any one of those roads, but you can't take all of them. So wedding yourself to multiple companies with varied roadmaps leads to a severe problem when each of those roadmaps start maturing. Stuck in older technology. So sometimes some software will just say, from now on, this feature is not supported. So what will you do? You will not upgrade that software. You will retain. Haven't we done that? This feature is available only in the older software, so I'll retain that. So 1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the future, and slowly diverging. Ouch. Hidden costs. Many software tools these days come with this drug-like approach. So free, take it free. Taste it. 5-member project, you want to try? Take it, free. The 6th person you want to add, you have to pay for all 6. Think about that. Happens all the time. So the costs aren't upfront, there are hidden costs. And I don't know why not many people told about this, but this is my biggest problem. If I have data in various silos, I want to search through all of them. I can only search here and then come out of the room, search here, and then come out of the room and search there. There is no single unified search. There is no unified view of the customer, unified view of operations, unified view of your employees. I can look at a person's leave record. I can find out whether a person is absent or present 2 days from now. But I'll have to exit the software, go to another software to find out if that person has any tasks scheduled to be delivered on that day when he was on leave. And longevity is a big question. Out of 10 startup companies that are talked about on any given day, 9 of them die. And most of them in the first year. So would you want, or they get sold out and acquired by large companies. And once that acquisition happens, most of the time that technology is retired. Do I want to put my business critical data on applications that were looking for a quick sellout? That's another question they asked. I've done 16 of them. The last one I want you to wait. So keep this in mind, the inverted Mount Fuji. I'll come back to it. We'll talk about it after a while. So to summarize all these 17, there was mayhem for the user, juggling passwords, juggling interfaces, and so on. And it was hell for the administrator. Not many administrators here, so you wouldn't know the pain of adding a user and removing him from every one of those services when a person leaves the company. Right? It's a really hard task. But not just those. It leaves a bad taste on the customer. We call him king. Customer is king. But tell me, hasn't this happened to you all? Collection department sends a mail to the customer. Dear Miss, we had sent you a couple of reminders already for the renewal. You have been provided 30 days grace period additionally. Your payment has to reach us by today, failing which your account will be downgraded to the free edition. Simple, straightforward mail from collections department to the customer. Unfortunately, on the same day, the campaigns department blasts an email to that guy. Special offer. As an early supporter, we want to thank you by sending you a special offer. We want to give you a special supersized trial period. Why? Fragmented knowledge bases. This left hand doesn't know what that right hand is doing. Hasn't that happened to you? Airtel, for example. Don't they call? The campaigns department would have just gone off the line. And this person will call up and say, sir, pending. Shall I send the person to your home for collection? Another example. So we write to tech support or customer support saying, I had ordered for a shipment, my credit card has been charged already. I am so upset that I feel like canceling the order, asking for a refund. I would have just mailed technical support. The marketing department to the same customer would come something like, if you buy one, we'll give you 2 free. Don't we see all that again and again? Why does all this happen? Fragmentation of knowledge. So the success of a set of tools actually depends not on how well they work, but actually how well they work together. So that's the key learning I had when I listened to all these 40 people, 40 of my friends, talk about their woes in software. Integration is needed in this connected world. We all understand. You can spend your lunchtime looking at that poster there. We talk about how Zoho's own services are integrated with each other. So the CRM has to understand what campaigns are running. The email has to understand what documents are there in the cloud. The HR has to understand who is coming in from the recruitment software, what continuity exists in that software. Integration is needed, we agree. So let's look at how companies solve this integration problem. How do they approach this big conundrum of integrating? The first thing they do is jugaad, so they try to fix it themselves. So they put plaster where cement has to be put. They do their own piping. They connect things up. They bury themselves in non-critical, non-core things when they should be focusing on changing the world. They try this. And there are many companies like WapWolf and IFTTT and so many others whose job is doing the pipelining. So I'll make the internet work for you. I will make this app talk to that app. Just give me the logins to both. I'll connect them both and make it work for you. Good idea. And there is the third approach. So iPaaS, they call it. Huge multinational companies, Gartner, four-quadrant companies, they talk about how they are providing a platform for integrating and they charge you a very high amount. I say that's a fail. Why should I pay for things that should already be there as a default among all my software? It should be invisible to me. Why should I visibly go put up in a platform, connect them up and pay you? Talking about payment, 8 out of $10 these days is actually spent on software integration. Development is just $2. Think about that. Complexity, that's what leads to that expense. So this guy, I don't know if you can recognize who it is because he's famous by his name, not by his face. His name is Rube Goldberg. So I just want to show you one cute little animation of a Rube Goldberg system. He's a cartoonist and a philosopher. He's famous for concocting imaginary apparatuses which will actually make things work, but by the most devious and circuitous manner. Take a look at this picture, for example. He calls this the self-cleaning soup wiper. So if you can't guess what's happening there, I'll just run you an animation. This is what is happening. His elbow moves the spoon, throws up the biscuit. So his elbow moves the spoon, throws up the biscuit, the bird flies, the seed drops, the cigarette lighter lights up, the rocket goes, cuts the wire, and hence the pendulum. So why am I putting it up here? This is how most of the integrations happen. Circuitous, devious, depending on so many moving pieces, one small change somewhere will bring the whole house down. On the other hand, services and apps from a single vendor, like my own company, Zoho, have so many other ways to integrate. So take a look at projects, for example, and invoice. Two different verticals. There's a software project management tool and there's a software invoicing tool. But often you want to charge people for the project you have done. So in the projects tool, as you log time, just one click, imagine how powerful it would be if you could bill the customer or bill the person you were actually doing that work for, right from within your projects too. That's what is happening here. Here is another. There's the chat tool. We all use Skype or Yahoo Chat or Gtalk. But look at this. While you're chatting with your colleague, you want to quickly find out where his physical location is, what his designation in the company is. You want to send an email to him. Or while you're actually working on his HR benefits schemes and so on, you want to quickly start a chat with him. One click, single login. Not even jumping screens or tabs, right there. That's what is happening here. Recruit and email. So you are managing all applicants to a software job opening, and while looking at it, you want to find out all the mail tracks. You want to find out just that subset of emails from your very large mailbox. Those 6 mails, when did he start mailing us? What have we responded to him? What did that person respond with? Those 6 emails. Imagine if you could see with just one click, right from within your HR tool, all the mails that are relevant to that particular person at that particular time. That's possible. That's what is happening here. Websites, we all have websites and we want to track visitors. And when a visitor comes and hangs around at a particular page, where there's nothing much to read, perhaps it means he's stuck somewhere. He's stuck, he doesn't know where to go. Imagine if we could immediately go in and find out if that person has already been there before, has asked these questions, and our technical support representative has actually given these answers. That's what is happening here. So visitor tracking, he gets to see all the chat conversations and technical support conversations that have happened before for this particular person. That's what you see here. Similarly for CRM and campaigns, sites and forms. When we were hit by the Chennai floods, actually, there was a little downtime for our services. And we had this problem. So many support queries were coming in about why was it down, why is nobody responding. It's 4 hours according to your SLA, but 16 hours, nobody has responded. Guys couldn't come to office. It was neck deep in water. So we wrote a quick code. Our support team interacted with the Creator team. Creator is a software app making tool from Zoho. We interacted with the Creator team, which could actually analyze the content of the support request for sentiment, whether it is negative, for particular keywords, delay, and so on. And we could give them canned responses, at least that we are actually responding. We are there, we are working on it. It'll come back. It'll be back online. So we were able to do that because of this integration between support and Creator. Remember this? This is one last thing I had said. The multi-vendor problem, the 17th reason. I would like to talk to you about it, but before that, a quick pop quiz. Can you guess the company whose office business hierarchy is shown here? Which company is represented here? Apple, that was Steve Jobs, now it's Tim Cook. Good. How about this one? Google. So there's Sundar Pichai, there's Larry, and there's Sergey. One more. Facebook, networked, each person. This is not from me, I picked it up from the internet. Which company is shown here? Microsoft, they had said. Each company, each arm of the company at cross purposes with the other. Anyway, the question is not about all these 4. The question is about this picture. What company is this? This is your startup. This is the typical startup. Times have changed. So even books have been written about it. Jason Fried of 37 Signals has written a book called Rework. Look at the blurb of that book. ASAP is poison. Underdo the competition. Meetings are toxic. Pick a fight. Planning is guessing, he says. Bestseller in Amazon. So the workplace itself has changed. This used to be IBM. Dilbert's time. But this is how it is today. This is how the modern workplace has evolved. This is the new seat of innovation. Nothing is planned anymore. It's more opportunistic. It's more on the spur of the moment, at that time, whatever idea strikes you. Nobody plans big things. Instead, they say, try these 10 things, throw them at the wall, whatever sticks, let's build that forward. It used to be a directive. The CEO will set the vision, and then the COO will implement it, then the technical leaders and everybody will rally the teams. It used to be like that, command and control. Now it is collaborative. Can you spot the CEO in that picture? This is a typical Silicon Valley cafe environment. Again, learning has changed from being formal. You could do your college degrees like our previous speaker said, get all those ladders, steps in the ladder, and finally enter a job, after which you don't need to do any learning. Is that how it is today? No. Much of what I learned is actually on my job. It's experiential. And not to mention, it's moved to your home, it's moved to your cafe, work is distributed. So much has changed in the past 15, 20 years. So it's almost as if you were handed the keys for success and somebody changed the locks. Right? You found out finally how to make everything work, and somebody said, hey, this is no longer relevant. Right? Out. So the question, the 17th question is, the Mount Fuji question is, has your software adapted to these changing times? Because, see, we always think we are actually creating the tool. We shape the tool. We make it work the way we want. Very soon, the software starts shaping us. It's the tools, Marshall McLuhan again. We shape our tools, we think, and they in turn shape us. Because this is the quite famous thing about the nail and the hammer. When you have a hammer in your hand, every problem looks like a nail, even a screw. See, those 40 people I asked feedback from, one of them was an Excel expert. And when he wrote back, I knew what was going to come. Every one of the questions I asked about CRM, about project management, about technical support, he was using Excel for everything. Right? The tool had shaped him and his future. So we need to be aware of that thing happening and choose your tools wisely. Zoho itself runs on Zoho. We don't use Oracle. We don't use SAP. We have long since unsubscribed from MS Office. So we have Zoho Front Office, which has the marketing, sales, and support tools, which closely interacts and integrates with our Zoho Back Office, which is the HR, finance, and IT assets tools, and the Zoho Workplace, where you can author documents, share, and communicate. We've been around for 19 years, 25 plus services, 15 million users worldwide. We are bootstrapped in 120 countries. We are available. We proudly call ourselves the complete business operating system, the only tool perhaps which offers you the 3 pillars, the tools for the 3 pillars, that is to engage with your customers, empower your employees, and run your operations, while closely integrating between tool to tool. Every one of those 17 questions answered because we have a single suite of tools. I have a very short video to run. Let's watch it.
All businesses need software to run efficiently, lots of software. But in order to customize software to fit our unique businesses, we often end up constructing this monster. So let's go back to where this all started. You know when you picked up lots of overpriced, shiny, shrink-wrap boxes of software and downloaded other programs. And then you spent countless hours tinkering endlessly in an attempt to get the software made by different companies to just start working together. And after months of troubleshooting, integrating, and bug fixing, your Frankenstein finally comes to life. Well, some of the time. But the real problem comes when you try to get Fragile Frank to start growing your business. Like when it's time to upgrade your software. Or when you want to work remotely. Or when you're ready to collaborate internationally. I mean, let's face it, these programs and these shiny boxes were designed to live on a single computer and work independently from each other. And the only way to force them to work together and company-wide is to hire a highly paid team of these genius monster makers who spend all their time repairing Frank just so you can stay in business. But there's a better way. Introducing Zoho.com. It's a comprehensive suite of online business, productivity, and collaboration applications designed to work together. Zoho discovered that you could use the evolving power of internet applications to find a permanent and affordable solution to software integration. So let's start over. Now, of course, your business needs software to track customers, host your email, collaborate on documents, manage projects, and many other applications to increase operational efficiency. But with Zoho, all these applications were designed from scratch to work together seamlessly. And if you need to use outside apps for certain parts of your business, you could plug those right into Zoho's integrated system, you know, to prevent Frankenstein from showing up again. And since it's all hosted online, you don't have to worry about upgrading to the newest version. That's all being done continuously without impacting your business. And as your business grows and expands, Zoho's hosted applications scale perfectly to any size, allowing you to work remotely without borders. So just go to Zoho.com and instantly start using whatever application you need. Or use another ID to access these apps, making company-wide collaboration seriously a login away. And if you ever have a problem, just call Zoho 24 hours a day to help. Imagine all of this efficiency for the fraction of the cost of prepackaged software applications. Zoho just makes everyone happy. Well, except for the makers of those expensive shrink-wrap boxes. So try Zoho today for free at Zoho.com.
So the thing about this piece of this video is it's 8 years old. The look and feel of it would have given that away, I think. The point I wanted to make is 8 years ago we had this vision and we have been continuing in that path, the core, the integration and making things work with each other so that it can empower your business to do better. The Frankenstein remains. It used to be shrink-wrapped software before. Now it is all these silos of cloud applications that claim to do only one thing very well. So that's the point I wanted to drive home, and thank you. So I have 5 questions. I will just quickly look at them. What are the differences between a business and a consumer application? Is integration not more important? Apps from different vendors are best in the league and required for core work? Yes. Zoho being a successful startup story, can you share some points with relatively new ones? Probably you can meet us at the table there. We're late. Zoho is bootstrapped. What's the secret behind the growth? Hard work and humility, I would say. You listen to our CEO talk and that will come through. How do you convince companies already using various apps from different vendors? They have been using them for so many years. We have migration and integration tools. We have people who can come consult with you and make things work. We have done that successfully with many other companies. So thank you for your, there are more questions. Why the name Zoho? Meet me later outside. I'm out of time. Thanks guys.
Thank you, Mr. Rajendran, for the deep insight into how your technology can help our business. And may I request Mr. Vishal Datta, CEO and founder, Godot Media and Remap, to give a token of appreciation to Mr. Rajendran.